Everyone, I am Jessie Sikander,
And my name's Hannah Benedict.
and this week we wanted to continue our conversation about anxiety, but maybe from a little bit of a different angle. Last week we talked about how we can have conversations with our kids about anxiety, which is super important. But I think the flip side of the coin is just making sure that anxiety doesn't become the center or the focal point in your family, because it's important that we talk about it, it's important that we acknowledge it, but we don't want it to become the thing that is the driving force in our family, or that our kids can become obsessed over, or we can become obsessed over.
Well, and I think too that we have to be careful in that if we let it become that driving force, then it becomes like, if we talk about it all the time, then it's the star and it actually creates more anxiety.
Yes, that is so true.
Right. So it's kind of this, there's a saying out there that says what you focus on grows. And I have found that to be so helpful in my own parenting, of like what I pay attention to is the thing that really grows. So I got to call if there's a big giant elephant of anxiety in the room, I've got to name it. But if I keep talking about it, it just continues to stay there. So how do I shift that focus, not to acknowledge it, but also to focus it in different ways? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that we've done that in our family is that we have a check-in, usually on Sunday night, just to kind of see, like, on a mental health state, how's everybody doing? Where are we at that week? And then just to talk through, like, what worked this last week, what didn't work, what caused you anxiety, how did that anxiety, feel for you? What are some things that we're going to go into this next week that could be causing anxiety? Just so that my kids know that we're going to address it. We're going to have a set time for that. Obviously, if big things come up during the week, we're going to address it then. So, but I don't want it to be the thing that overtakes our life and becomes like the main thing that we're focused on. Because, like you said, it can heighten. If my kid starts to focus a lot on anxiety, and then I get more anxious because they're focusing on anxiety, and then our entire day or focus can be taken up by this like feeling of stuck or panic. So making sure that we hold that space for our kids, but that it doesn't become, the biggest thing in our life.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about when you were saying that is that, there's a lot of, I don't know, it's kind of familiar to recognize that anger is kind of that iceberg thing where we see anger at the top, but usually there's sadness, fear, frustration, something that's underlying that's driving that anger. And anxiety is a lot the same way. A lot of times anxiety is that tip of the iceberg, what we see, but there's sadness, there's fear, there's frustration that's driving that. So, another tool is maybe it's not always using the words anxiety. Maybe it's saying things like, wow, you're really scared about this, we're, like, this feels really uncomfortable. It's new. Wow, you have a lot of energy in your body right now. I can see that. And just maybe recognizing it with some different language than just using those terms anxiety.
I love that. I think with one of my kids, I will say, how did your flexibility go this week? Because he doesn't do well with flexibility. And so the more flexibility we have to have in the week, I know for him, the more anxiety that's going to be, growing inside of him. So I think that's so good. Or saying like, wow, I noticed you had a meltdown. We had some major meltdowns this week,
Yeah.
Kids don't realize that that's anxiety, but for you to be aware that anxiety could be those things.
Yeah. And I think too, like what you were saying, is setting aside some time and then doing other things that are just really just fun. Distraction is a really big piece of breaking that cycle. If we're stuck in a cycle of anxiety, one of the things we have to do is disrupt that cycle. And one of those things we can do is do something different. Maybe it feels opposite of what you really want to do, but doing that opposite action can sometimes be the most life-giving thing.
Absolutely. Sometimes when my kids, I see them ratcheting up towards anxiety, maybe we just need to watch a TV show, or maybe we need to go for a bike ride, or maybe they need them to be a little bit goofy, or just something that gets them out of that like main focus of the thing that they're anxious over.
And something that I am repeatedly reminded of is that just because I suggest going for a walk doesn't mean that they're going to be like, yeah, that sounds great, Mom. That's exactly what I need.
Usually it's me dragging them, kicking and screaming out the door.
Exactly. And once we get out the door, I am constantly trying to pay attention to this, is that usually within like 5-10 minutes, like the mood has shifted and we're having a great conversation.
Yeah.
We're talking about something crazy. They're laughing. And I have been really intentional, especially in those past couple months, because we've really been working to incorporate going for a family walk in the evenings. And it started with like, I'm not going to do that. You can't make me do that. You're so mean. I hate this. And I still once in a while get that, but it's getting better. It's not all the time anymore. And I think that that's just a really, really important to remind myself that the battle's worth it. In fact, this week I've been amazed that we got home kind of late one night from having dinner with family, and my son said, "Hey, we need to go for our walk," and off we went. And I was like, why? Yes, we do. But it reminded me that that battle doesn't always stay.
Yeah.
That it's worth it to fight it. Doesn't mean that, today or tomorrow they might put their foot down and be not happy about going. But even in the midst of that, on the other side of it, I might know exactly what their body needs and they don't know that yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are in your community to learn more about our Parenting in an Anxious World course. So we are launching kind of a community initiative. So if you gather more people to take our Parenting in an Anxious World together, we will give everybody 50% off in the course. We realize that parenting, we do community and connected to people who are doing the same thing. So if you are interested at all in gathering a group of people and going through the course, please feel free to email us at info@parentingcommunity.com, and we will get you set up and put you in your own cohort and your own class, and you guys can learn together.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll see you next time.